from from Pennsylvania. We're going to cover a couple of stories here. The first one, Jeff, unless you want to say hi to the members here, all three of them.
Hello? I think I'm here.
You found this story and sent it to me. Truckers applaud move to revert to pre-2013 hours of service regulations. My personal take on that is yay. I wish they'd get rid of the lunch break provision. That is the stupidest provision they ever could have put into the stupid provision catalog. It looks like this story is mainly dealing with the 34-hour restart, which they did take it back to 2013 standards. Congress slapped the hand of the DOT and said they couldn't do it and sent it back to the 2013 standards. They did say it was pending a review by the DOT. Apparently, the DOT did not do their job and do the proper review before passing the regulation. So other than that, now the reason this comes up, the 34-hour restart used to be you needed 34 hours of off-duty or sleeper time between your last on-duty time to when you came on duty again to reset your 70-hour in 8-day clock or your 60-hour in 7-day clock. That depends on whether your employer's open for 7 days a week or if they're open for 6 days a week. Most employers do the 7-day a week. UPS Parcel does 6 days a week. Why? I do not know. But they do. UPS Freight, on the other hand, uses a 70-hour clock. So that this would allow, when they changed the rules, you needed 2 periods from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. so that you would get your proper sleep or rest. Needless to say, trucking companies, truckers, anybody that's actually driven a truck said that is the stupidest idea because most truckers work at night, so you would be requiring truckers to be off for 48 to 56 hours instead of 34.
Okay.
So DOT passed it, Congress slapped their hands, went back to the 2013 standards pending the official study. And it looks like the Appropriations Committee wants to make that final that DOT can't change it back to what they had passed after 2013.
So let me just get this straight. So this was a regulation that was passed by a governmental agency and not Congress.
Correct. Congress gives the DOT latitude to set hours of service. But in this case, Congress said the DOT went too far.
Okay, so this is just kind of more of that stuff. You remember, and I might even touch on this because I have this article on it. That whole thing with the cigars and the EPA or the FDA setting all these new standards for the cigar manufacturers. So it's kind of like the same thing. They're just these bureaucrats just make up these rules. Probably these bureaucrats have never driven a truck a day in their life. I'm guessing they probably went to some Ivy League college, got a big degree, and that makes them a lot smarter than you, the trucker. Am I right or am I wrong?
Oh no, you're completely correct. We don't even like Congress making rules on this because when was the last time you heard of a trucker sitting in Congress? When was the last time you heard of a trucker even being in an elected office higher than, say, county commissioner?
Yeah. So this is like, okay, this is again, it's just more of this regulation where they're regulating you guys out of work, making every product and everything that's delivered more expensive because now they're gonna have to hire more guys to drive all these hours that now you're down. So now they have to have a second guy to cover those hours, and then he's down, and they have to have a third guy to cover the other hours. So instead of you being able to do your job and make the money and make it less expensive, now they've created all these jobs and for all these other people, which is good that there's more jobs, but at the same time, it's just increasing the cost. So now all the goods are costing more because it's costing this trucking company a lot more to get that product from point A to point B.
Exactly. It's lowering the pay of drivers that already do the job, and it's raising the amount of the expense on the shipping side of it, because now the employers have to hire more people, and because they're hiring more people, they also have to pay them benefits because of the Unaffordable Care Act, or the Unaffordable Careless Act. They have to pay more because you have to pay for the Social Security and Medicare stuff. So you have all the payroll taxes that got jammed in there, and you would also have to hire more people, so you have to hire rates. There's not enough drivers to move much of the freight now at a reasonable rate. So it overcomplicates the thing. It's just a joke written by a bunch of idiots.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to just touch on this here because it's up the same alley. The reason I sent you that article is because I just saw, so someone's trying to use their head and cut back on some of this regulation. Now, the one thing that Trump has said that he wants to cut out all this regulation, and you and we both know that there's so many regulations that the government has added absolute insane amount of cost to everything that that's moved in this country, or anytime you're going to do something. Years ago, I worked for a construction company, and the amount of paperwork, we were trying to open a gravel pit, and that's because it's a gravel pit, it was considered a mine. We had these 3-ring binders that were probably about 6 or 8 inches thick. 6 of those, just that there was all kinds of surveys and all kinds. I mean, we're talking, it was probably between my hours and all the other people's hours, there was probably a few $100,000 tied up in just the paperwork to try to get it approved. Without that, wasn't even including the fees that you had to pay the government to get it approved. I mean, all these regulations are such a burden on everyone. It's just incredible, and that's why I sent you that article. And then, I found this article just the other day. Cigar News: court date scheduled for Cigar Industry Trade Association lawsuit against the FDA. I don't know if you remember King Dude talking about the regulations from FDA when we did that Philadelphia. The programs out of Philadelphia at Twin Smokes.
Yeah, about it costing $1,000 per cigar made after.
Oh no, it was way worse than that. It was way worse than that. They were figuring, they didn't know, no one knew at that point the exact amount. The FDA had these vague amounts. It was somewhere between 100,000 and 150,000 per cigar. So, just as an example, if I remember this all correctly, like Anthony Renzulli owns Twin Smoke. He has 6 house cigars. He has his Renzullis and these Maduros he just introduced. So there's 6 cigars. At the low end, if they were 100,000 per cigar, that would be $600,000 just to keep those cigar lines for this little cigar shop in Philadelphia. I'm sure Anthony doesn't have $600,000. At the top end, it would be $150,000 per cigar, and that's $900,000. That's nearly $1 million Anthony would have to come up with just to have his little house cigars. And we were talking to, which is, I mean, that's totally insane. I mean, they're basically going to put him out of his business of his little house cigars. And a lot of the manufacturers, Eric Espinoza, the guy that makes those cigars for him, he has a whole bunch of line of his products that are new. They were after a certain date. He figured it could cost him as much as $4 million just to keep all his cigar line still out in the stores. So basically, it would almost put him out of business. So anyway, these guys, the industry has a lawsuit in a year. And communication from the International Premium Cigar and Pipe Retailers Government Affairs Team. It was revealed that a court date for a lawsuit filed by the Cigar Industries Trade Association against the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has been scheduled for July 28, 2017. The lawsuit challenges the deeming regulation implemented by the FDA on the premium cigar industry. July 28, 2017 is the date where oral arguments are scheduled to take place in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. This will provide both the plaintiff and the defendant the opportunity to present their argument on why each should prevail in the lawsuit. So they're suing them, and so hopefully they'll win because I mean it's again there's more. Here it is, the FDA passed these regulations on their own. There was no laws passed from Congress. They basically, I thought per the Constitution, any revenue had to originate in the House, correct? Or well, that's right. What Constitution?
We have one of those still.
I mean, so they had this. They passed a tax. I mean, they're charging these guys a fee. And some of these guys, it's in the millions, and without any congressional input on it, they just did it, and so they're suing them. Hopefully, the courts, again, federal courts, going to the guys that are screwing you and asking them not to screw you. Yeah, okay, I can see them winning, but anyway, so that's why I passed that on to you because I just thought. You would have some knowledge of the whole thing, and I just thought it was a great thing to see that at least somebody's trying to cut back on some of these regulations. And again, Donald Trump in his campaign, what did he do? He was saying that he was going to cut these regulations. For every new regulation, there'd be 2 cut. Well, let's see how this all works out when he becomes president. But it was a good thing. I thought for your truckers, it might mean you can make a little more money. Well, and it might mean that maybe we'd save some money as the consumer because, it's the regulations are going to be less and it costs the trucking companies less.
Well, see, here's my question on the cigar one. Are they trying to balance the national deficit and pay off the debt via the cigar companies?
No, actually, you know what? Most of these regulations, probably what it was, there's probably some big cigar manufacturing plant somewhere where they just pop out cigars. I mean, like Eric Espinosa, he's in Miami. He has a bunch of the Espinosas. There's a whole line of Espinosa cigars. Again, he makes cigars for Anthony, his house cigars. A lot of these small guys are going to get terribly hurt by these regulations. So my guess is some big outfit somewhere had the money to buy this regulation. They lobbied for it, and they got this regulation, and it's going to hurt the little guys. And by hurting them, supposedly, I think their thought is it's going to help them. It's just like any other thing, how Congress works. You buy legislation to put the little guy out of business, and I think that's what this is.
So it's along the same lines of what the car industry has been doing for years. They sit there and they write regulation to try to stop, say, Walmart from introducing the Walmart car.
Yes.
Yeah, by throwing on safety bag or airbags, anti-lock brakes, which nobody before 1990 had even heard of. Let's see, what was the other thing? Parking brakes. Well, you might need parking brakes, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're about at our break, aren't we? We've been about 20 minutes here. Do we want to take our first break and then come back here in just a second?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, because it's been about 20 minutes, and we'll take a break. We can go to commercials, and then we'll come back after the commercials.
I need to make some commercials.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll work on those. But I'm gonna get a drink of water, and I might go light up a cigar. I mean, I got a nice Renzulli in there, nice Maduro. Heck, I might not be able to buy them anymore. I'll light one up while we're on break.
All right. Well, you go light one up, and I'll sit here and try to play YouTube videos or something for the people. All one viewer.
Oh. All right. We back? Do we want to come back or now? I mean, because you're just going to edit this out?
Yeah,
Is
I'll
that
just
what you're
edit
gonna
it out. It's not an issue. If you just go ahead and go.
All right. All right. So, you tell me when you want to come back and. Oh, what was that? Oh, that was my computer. I'm the only one that heard that. Okay. So, whenever you're ready, go back. We going to Trump and Taiwan? Are we going to the firefighter stories in the UPS trucker?
Let's go to the UPS trucker and the firefighter story, and then we'll take another break,
All right.
and then we'll go to Trump.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can take off. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm playing a commercial. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I was playing Mike's favorite commercial. Welcome back to Renegade Ramblers. Let's get into this. You shared a story with me earlier in the week there, Jeff. It was from the Ithaca Police Department, where a UPS driver, apparently a seasonal driver from what I've learned from my sources inside of the company, was supposedly his second year doing seasonal work. And he apparently got shot while stopped at a Walmart. I don't know if he was delivering a package at Walmart, if he ran in to get something, but came back out, and somebody hopped into his truck and apparently was trying to run off with his truck. When he tried to stop the guy opened fire on him, shot him, and then ran him over with the truck.
That's the story I've picked up from other people that from up in that area. The guy shot him and then ran him over.
That's I completely get really mad on these stories because the industry, as in trucking in general, has tried to make it a point of telling all new coming drivers that if they have a firearm in the vehicle, they are automatically in violation of some DOT regulation. There is no DOT regulation on firearms. None. The DOT is not allowed to even write firearm legislation. This is a company's trying to save their butts from a lawsuit of a driver protecting himself. So they tell all new drivers, you can't have weapons. Weapons are illegal. You have to run defenseless. Again, that's not true. You can have weapons. It's per state laws. Now, granted, this happened in New York, and we know New York is not very friendly to concealed carry or firearms in general. So take it with a grain of salt. That probably wasn't this probably was state laws in this case that stopped the driver, not UPS policy. But I can tell you UPS policy is no firearms in the vehicles, no firearms on property.
Right. And Ithaca, New York is probably only second to New York City in its liberalness. It is the almost liberal capital of the state of New York. Yeah, New York is very firearm unfriendly. And so this guy was unarmed. A guy was trying to steal his truck. Now, again, perhaps he shouldn't have tried to stop the guy, but he did what he thought was right, and it cost him his life. Um, it's just some more of this senseless violence that we're starting to see. I saw this, and it was related to you because of trucking, and then the UPS, and you're being a UPS driver. But at the same time, then I caught this story from Youngstown. Here, let me read this one to you. I'll read the headline first. Oh, I just lost it. There you go. Youngstown firefighters ambushed while responding to a fire. Get shot through fire truck. From what I understand, they were in the truck and they were shot in the truck, so the bullets passed through it. Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown firefighters were ambushed and one was shot Monday night while responding to a fire. Fire crews were called to respond to a house fire at Halleck and Elm Street at around 10 p.m. Monday night. As fire crews were leaving the scene at around 11:30, somebody started shooting at the firefighters. One of the firefighters was shot in the leg. Another bullet passed through the coat of another firefighter. Law enforcement responded, set up a perimeter, and brought in a canine, but were unable to locate this suspect. So here you have a UPS guy shot and killed, basically ambushed. You have these Youngstown firefighters. And actually, this is kind of interesting. This is nothing new. There were firefighters ambushed in Buffalo, and there was a couple of them killed out there. And it's not even that new. A friend of mine was a volunteer firefighter in Addison, New York, back in the 90s, and they responded to a fire call. And they had an ambulance, and my buddy was driving the ambulance. Their fire truck was going. He was bringing the ambulance because that was their policy, bring an ambulance to the scene in case somebody got hurt. As he's driving up, bullets start hitting the ambulance he's in. One of the bullets went about 2 inches from his head, and there was a hole in the ambulance right by his head. They had that ambulance for a number of years. I saw that ambulance, and I saw the bullet holes in it. So this is nothing new. But it's just getting out of control. Here, I have another story here. Corrections officer. This is one of my officers. Even New York State corrections officer. That's where I work in law enforcement, and this guy works in the same department I am. So he's one of my fellow officers. A state corrections officer and his wife were shot by two home invaders in their Jamaica home. So down in New York City, someone knocks on the door, starts shooting, shoots the wife and the husband. The husband got shot 5 times. Here's another one. New York City corrections officer fatally shot in her car in Brooklyn. This was on December 5th. And she was sitting in her car and shot 5 times, twice in the head. So it's getting really dangerous as far as firefighters and as police and even my officers are getting shot. It really is getting out of control. We have to start being very situationally aware. In your case, as a driver, if something like this happened to you, if you're unarmed now, are you going to confront this guy, or are you just gonna let him take the truck and say, "Hey, I'm gonna live and go home to my family"? You know what I'm saying on that one?
The rule I had settled on when it came to semis, if you want the truck and there's no explosives, no hazmat, I'm not worried about flammable or corrosive. Screw flammable corrosive. That ain't worth dying over. I'm talking inhalation, explosives, something that's going to do immeasurably more harm than my life's worth. So if I'm carrying, say, a bunch of Christmas gifts, fill you on the Christmas gifts. Here's the keys. You can have the truck. It's not worth me dying over. If I have any inclination that truck could be used in a terrorist activity, be it, like I said, explosives are on the truck, or things that could be turned into weapons of mass destruction, then that truck is going in a ditch. Whether I'm dead or not, that truck's going in a ditch. You're not going to pull that truck and use it. If you're already in the truck, though, there ain't much I can do about it. Let you go, get a recognition, call it in. That's all I can do at that point. It's not worth me trying to rip you out of the truck and, I drive 80,000-pound vehicles. This guy, I think in Ithaca, it was probably a package car, a little van.
Okay.
It's a lot harder to control, say, 80,000 pounds than it is a glorified box van. But like I
Right.
said, if it's computers, electronics, whatever, fill you on it, you can have it. It's not worth it. If it's firearms, explosives, poison inhalation, yeah, that truck's going to go in the ditch if I can do anything about it.
Right. It's just that I keep looking at how our culture of death. I mean, life has no value. Someone, like I said, someone walked up to this New York City corrections officer. She works from the story. She worked at Rikers Island down in New York City. The officer that was shot, the wife and the husband, as of last that I knew of the story, and I talked to our union rep about it. He's still alive. He was shot 5 times, but it looks like he may survive this. But you know, that was in their house. I was reading another little article from a local lawyer in Pennsylvania that's really does a lot for firearms rights in the state of Pennsylvania. I disagree with him on his approach because he really is into that in a whole incorporation doctrine. But I applaud him because he does a great job. He brings a lot of suits and wins a lot of suits in Pennsylvania. I just wish he would use the Pennsylvania Constitution. I've told him. I've met him. I've talked to him about it. But he shared an article about a guy here in Pennsylvania that there was a home invasion here in Pennsylvania, and the homeowner shot the guy that was the home invader and killed him. So really, there's just this whole this call to death, whether it's abortions or whatever it is, that life has no value, and they're just ambushing cops, they're ambushing corrections officers, they're ambushing firefighters. I mean, really, firefighters. I mean, they're there to help. I mean, well, so are the cops, but you know, it's really is getting out of control. As far as firefighters, I mean, they're just like us officers. You know, they go to work, and us officers, we go to work, and every day when we get to work, we're hoping we're going home. Just plain and simple. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. And now we have to worry about it at home. The one thing that this lawyer said was, this shows you why you should be armed in your house. I mean, we've talked about it in the prepper chat. You know, even in the house, you should have a firearm with you. I know you have children, so you have those concerns, and so you have to balance this with having children. But if someone would come to my door right now and try to break in, I have a firearm right by my right hand, so I could defend myself inside my house. And it's really a shame. It's really a shame that we've come to that. Do you not agree that? I mean, here we are, 2016, and you got to have a firearm next to your hand in your house in case someone tries to break in and shoot you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I have mine on my hip right now. Now, the only part we differ on with the firearms is I don't carry one in the chamber with mine. That's personal, just because I got the young kids rolling around. Otherwise, I don't really care. It would be loaded and cocked and ready to go. Now, with dang damn it, I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Now, with my house, I have a full 90-pound German Shepherd that thinks everybody that knocks on the door is going to kill me. So in my house, I feel that I'm moderately protected, at least long enough to get the firearm off my hip and hot, ready to go. But not everybody's got a 90-pound German Shepherd that wants to kill everything it sees. I also have a German Shepherd that wants to lick everything it sees. So, I mean, it's you got to take that one with a grain of salt. But, yeah, that my boy, he won't let nothing in the house. You see my boy. If the guy comes dressed like a ball, I'm sorry, but the guy won't live long enough to make it to the hospital because he loves his balls.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because number one, it's hitting close to home because it's one of my officers, one of my brothers that was shot in New York City. And even though the one that lost her life was a New York City corrections officer, worked for the New York City Police Department, you know, she's still a sister in blue. I mean, and so with you, I mean, you had a brother in brown that was shot and killed just because he was driving a truck in a truck that someone wanted to steal stuff from. And it's just, we have to start taking our safety into our hands because, quite honestly, I'm going to be serious. I work in law enforcement and I love my fellow officers and I love my brothers in blue, but we can't be everywhere. And where I live, I'm looking at probably 30 minutes before that first car pulls in this driveway. I live out, I don't know if I ever told you this. I have more pigs as neighbors than I do people. I have a pig farm with 10,000 pigs right about less than a quarter mile from my house. That's more pigs than people where I live. There's no police coming for half an hour out here. And so if I'm not prepared to defend myself, then there's no one coming for a long time.
Well, that's about like my
as far as
situation.
even if you lived in a city, at this point, you're looking at probably 4 or 5 minutes, even in a city, before a cop's even to get anywhere in the neighborhood. You're gonna have to, for 4 or 5 minutes, you're gonna have to keep yourself alive. And so, I mean, like I said, we have to start looking to ourselves to protect ourselves because there's people out there now that have no respect for life anymore.
Yeah. Well, see, in my situation, we had to cut ties with the local police force. See, we had police coverage from the neighboring township, and we were paying, if I remember right, $175,000 a year for police protection from the township. The township office, compared to where I'm sitting at right now inside the borough, is about 5 minutes, and it only takes 5 minutes because of how you have to drive around town to get there. The police force there was raping us over the coals. So we told them they could keep their police force. Now, luckily, where I'm at, just about everybody on my street has a firearm in their house. Just about everybody on my street knows how to use the firearm. We're not worried about nobody coming into our houses. But we don't have any police coverage. Our nearest police force is the Pennsylvania State Police in Newport. That's a good 30 minutes away, especially by the time.
Right. I actually know right where that barracks is.
Yeah,
it's right up on 220, right up on top of the hill.
Yeah, because you train over by there, if I remember right.
Yeah, yep. That's Stay Ready, right down. That's right down by the river there, right down almost into Newport.
Right. So by the time you get the phone call in to the time they can send an officer out of the barracks to come find out what's going on is at least 30 minutes. That's a long time to try and hide from a home invader.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I live out. Our nearest one. I have Mansfield, 25 minutes away, and they're on the other side of Mansfield, so it's probably closer to 30 minutes. And then Towanda, depending on how this, like, especially tonight with the snow we're getting right now, it could be 45 minutes for them to get here with the snow, with bad roads. Same with Mansfield. It could be almost 40 minutes. But so anyway, what I was just going with this is we have to start taking control of our safety. People just need to start realizing that the police aren't going to be there every time you need something. Government's not going to always be there when you need them for something. We need to start learning. People need to buy a firearm, be trained in its safe and proper use, trained on the local laws. A lot of these, there's all kinds of different courses. There's concealed carry courses. Take the courses, learn to shoot. It could save your life someday. A lot of people, a lot of these people that don't like guns say, well, why do you need a gun? You'll probably never shoot it. Yes, I've never fired my firearm at anything other than a target. But if I ever needed it and I didn't have it, it'd be the last time I needed that gun because I'd probably be dead. Just like this guy, this UPS guy, had he had a firearm, when that guy went to draw his firearm, he could have drawn his. He might have defended himself. He might still be alive today. We'll never know because he didn't have a firearm. And New York State made it that way because they make it virtually impossible for anybody to have a firearm. You, as a Pennsylvanian coming up into New York, can't even carry in New York. It's against the law. So you can't even defend yourself in New York. The reciprocity laws are awful all over the place. Now, this opens the door to a huge hornet's nest of Donald Trump wanting to have a national concealed carry reciprocity. Good Lord. I don't even want to go there tonight because, we're coming up on another break here in just a couple minutes. And, that could take us the rest of the hour just to get through that. I mean, the whole incorporation doctrine, yeah. You and I are against it. But in some ways, there's merit to it. I don't know. I'm against the incorporation doctrine. I'm against the federal government passing some edict and telling the states that their laws don't matter because that's what they do every day. But there has to be Pennsylvania and New York have to come to some agreement. The problem is New York State is so entrenched. And again, here we go with what's the only solution for this, Daniel?
Secession, my friend, secession. It's time to leave.
That's right. Central Pennsylvania and the center of New York, if we left, we'd be an economic powerhouse. We're sitting on what they call the Marcellus Shale. We could leave today, and there's hundreds of billions of dollars worth of natural gas sitting underneath us, and I don't know how much oil. I was told once underneath the natural gas is oil, and once they get the natural gas out, then they can bring up the oil. We would be an economic powerhouse. You're in the center of the state. So if we left and center of New York left and we made one new country, we'd have economically we'd be set. And the center of the state of New York and the center of the state of Pennsylvania are not that different as far as our beliefs. It's very conservative, very pro-gun, very pro-business. It would make sense for us to make our own country and leave New York City and leave Buffalo and leave Pittsburgh and leave Philadelphia and come together, and we wouldn't need a reciprocity from anyone else because we would have our reciprocity because we'd be our own people again, and we'd be passing our own laws.
Well, that leads to a whole nother subject, which I don't know if we want to hit all this tonight, but if you take the center of Pennsylvania, like the South Central, the northern tier, and then I don't know everything but Buffalo and upstate New York.
Well, yeah, they call it the southern tier.
Albany.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want Albany and you don't want Buffalo.
Right.
It's the center swath. They call it the southern tier down here, and it would be the Finger Lakes region going a little bit north, and then what we call the frozen brain country. In the New York corrections, there we have a bunch of prisons up there, and we call those officers the frozen brain officers because it's so cold up there by the lakes. So, and I say that in all due respect to my brothers up in the frozen brain country.
Yeah, well, I have a funny suspicion the U.S. Border and Customs people up there in Champlain would agree with your assessment of it being frozen up there. I've been through there when it's negative 40. It's cold.
So, I mean, this whole subject's just gone completely in a direction I wasn't expecting, but it really is going back to the original intent was, people, you gotta start thinking about buying a firearm and getting trained. And training is so important. You gotta know how to fire the firearm. You know how to work it, and you need to know some basic. You take like an NRA course. They do basic concealed carry laws. Matter of fact, our friend Suzanne Sherman teaches the legal part of the Utah, if I'm not mistaken, the Utah concealed carry permit. So she's a lawyer. She teaches that because there's some legals. You really kind of got to know a little bit about the legal use of force in your state. I mean, Pennsylvania has the castle doctrine. I think we can have stand your ground.
Yeah, they changed it from the castle doctrine to stand your ground. If they're coming at you, you no longer have to retreat.
Yeah, which was the craziest thing in the world. I mean, the whole thing is, okay, so someone's coming at you with a weapon. Retreating it sounds great. It really does. But to turn your back on that weapon and make yourself completely defenseless to run is totally insane. I mean, we could discuss the whole 21 feet, 7-yard thing. Once they're inside that, you're at a disadvantage. That 21 feet, anything inside 21 feet, you're at a serious disadvantage. So this whole stand your ground is so important. New York State has no stand your ground. So again, that's why I was going with this training is you have to be trained. It's great to take some of these NRA courses. Not a big fan of the NRA, but they do have a lot of good educational things. A lot of good educational things for the kids. But people you need to get a firearm. You need to start thinking about your safety. And you go to a mall, you see these mall shootings, these movie theater shootings. If you don't have a firearm, you're just waiting to be shot. You're just a victim waiting there until that person gets around there to you to shoot you. If you have a firearm, you're not a victim anymore. You're an immediate responder. You can respond to the situation. So that's where I was going with all those stories. The fire departments, we're used to it. A fireman, I was a firefighter before I went into law enforcement, and firefighters put their lives on the line every day. They go into the fires to get people out. They're putting their lives in the line, just going to the call, having people shoot at them. Law enforcement, everyone knows. I mean, look at the last year and a half, the number of officers that have been killed in the line of duty, ambushed and shot. Folks, it's getting worse out there. You need to take care of yourself and your family. Get a firearm, learn how to use it, and learn the laws pertaining to your state. That's my rant on that. My ramble. I rambled on for the whole break just to say that one thing. So that's why I'm the rambler.
Yes.
So anyway,
I'm the rebel. Well,
Renegade, you are the
which is another form for rebel. But we're gonna hit
that's right.
We're gonna hit a break here. Which, if you're watching this live, we're not actually going to break away, but if you watch this in delay, it will show up as an actual break. But we're going to break here. I'm going to try to probably find another YouTube commercial to watch. I mean, I played the Burger King one the last time. But
did you play Have It Your Way?
Yes. Mike Church's favorite Burger King ad from the 74. I know. I don't understand why it works that way. I thought you could have heard it, but maybe you have to download the YouTube app on yours too. I don't know. But
I probably should have YouTube playing, but I don't. And so when we go to break, I'm going to have to relight that cigar, and I have to get a glass of water because I've rambled so much that last section. And in honor of our friend, I blathered. I blathered for a whole 15 minutes on that. So anyway, go ahead. I'm gonna go get a drink. I'm gonna light my cigar. I'll be right back.
All right. Here we go. We're going to commercial now. And if you could hear this play, it will be the
Daniel, did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, because all of a sudden it went dead, and for some reason my mic muted. Did you mute
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, I muted you.
Okay, because I had my mic off. So
Yeah, I wondered why it
because
wasn't letting me mute you.
all right, because I just unmuted me because I was like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Yeah,
Did I just lose another driver?
well, from now on, when we take a break, I'll mute both mics, and then when we come back, I'll unmute mine, say welcome back, and then I'll unmute yours.
Okay, because I was like, oh my gosh, I just killed another computer.
Oh, don't do that, my friend. That one was too expensive.
No, I know. That's what I was thinking. Oh my gosh.
He's tearing something up.
That water was good.
Yeah, I ran out of soda.
I drink very little soda. Matter of fact, I drink mostly water. So.
Oh, it's probably why my knees hurt.
All right, this was probably gonna be a short segment, I think.
Yeah, we'll cover our opinion.
So I'm not really sure where. I'm really not sure where to go on. I'm not real sure. I've really formulated my whole thing with this whole China thing.
Okay, well you can get.
I'm gonna read a couple excerpts out of both of them. That one from Buchanan and one from the Washington Post.
Okay, and then I'll comment on them, and then we'll go from there. Talk about the meetup tomorrow, and then we'll end the show.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Let me get another drink because I really am dry. My throat's getting a little scratchy.
Good deal. Good deal.
All right. Let me just sit back down, get my computer here so I can see the. I need to get
30 seconds.
I need to get my printer. Oh, is the computer? Are the commercials still playing?
Yeah, we got about 10 seconds.
All right.
All right, welcome back to the Renegade Ramblers. We are sitting here, going to get into our last segment here, and then we're going to close the show. Got an announcement here at the end, but Jeff, I'll let you take it since this is your story here, bud, and I'll comment on it as needed.
All right. Well, I just saw what really jumped out about me out at me. I rambled so much that last segment, I can't speak English any longer. So, as others say, my English-speaking friends, I will start speaking English now. I saw an article in the Washington Post the other day, and I was shocked at it because it's Washington Compost. They never say anything nice about Republicans or I'll call him conservative. I don't know how conservative he is, but I'll just call him a conservative. So here's the headline that I had to read the article after I read this. Trump's Taiwan call wasn't a blunder. It was brilliant. This is the Washington Compost. So I saw that and I said, I have to read this. It's by Mark Thyssen. Relax. Breathe. Donald Trump's phone call with the president of Taiwan wasn't a blunder. by an inexperienced president-elect unschooled in the niceties of cross-straits diplomacy. It was a deliberate move, and a brilliant one at that. Oh my gosh! I mean, is this the compost? The phone call with President Tsai Ing-wen, and I noticed slaughtered that name, was reportedly carefully. Yep, there we go. Was reportedly carefully planned, and Trump was fully briefed before the call, according to the Post. It's not that Trump was unfamiliar with the three communiques, and that must be something, and I didn't look it up. I should have done more show prep, but we had so many technical issues last 2 days. I didn't get the show prep done. I should have. But I'm pretty sure that it has to do with from the Nixon and Carter before the three communiques, because it's going to reference one China here in the story, and that's coming. Our government only was recognizing one China, and it turned out to be the wrong one. So he was not unfamiliar with the three communiques or unaware of the fiction that there is one China. Trump knew precisely what he was doing in taking the call. He was serving notice on Beijing that it is dealing with a different kind of president, an outsider who will not be encumbered by the same Lilliputian diplomatic threats that tied down previous administrations. The message, as John Bolton, oh yeah, there's one of my most favorite people in the world, John Bolton.
You do love him.
I'm sorry, I should have interjected that, but I did. The message, as John Bolton correctly put it, was that the President of the United States will talk to whomever he wants if he thinks it's in the interest of the United States, and nobody in Beijing gets to dictate who we talk to.
Yeah, why have we been letting Beijing dictate to us on anything?
Yeah. And so the story moves on. Amen to that. And if that message was lost on Beijing, Trump underscored it on Sunday, tweeting, "Did China ask us if it was okay to devalue their currency, making it hard for our companies to compete? Heavily tax our products going into their country. The U.S. doesn't tax them," which we don't. They basically they have tariffs on our stuff going in, but we don't tariff it back, which is insane.
We should. Yeah, we should.
Or build a massive military complex in the middle of the South China Sea. So what they did is they took a small item, they're dredging up coral and all these other materials, and they're making a bigger island. And it's just going to be a fixed aircraft carrier is what it is. They're making an aircraft carrier that doesn't move they're making an island that's a big air base for military jets. And it's to threaten Taiwan and the other countries in the region.
Yeah, but the big reason, if I may interject, the big reason why they're doing that is because once you have land, okay, out in, an island, barrier island, what have you, you're allowed under the UN, I believe it was, to say that from the edge of the land out, say, 200 miles is your right. Whatever you call it.
Right.
Your
they're trying to take over
water space, and they're trying to shut off the trade routes to Vietnam, Korea, or South Korea. They don't care about North Korea.
I think they're the Spratly Islands and stuff in there, and that's always been disputed between Vietnam and China. So yeah, they're trying to push their border out. That's what this island is to do, but it's also going to be a big military base. That's where they're going to put a lot of jets. They're moving militarily out into the South China Sea.
Right. And I believe what we heard on, I forget who it was. I think it was Professor Gutzman said about the U.S. Navy should just flat out ignore their claim. The international courts have already said it's a no-go. It's not legal. And if I remember the Reconstitution Hour correctly, Professor Gutzman said the U.S. Navy should just ignore it. And if they have to escort the carriers or whatever back and forth across there, and if China tries to intervene, basically sink their boats.
So back to Trump's tweet. I agree. I'm not going to argue with Kevin Gutzman. He's definitely smarter than I am. So.
That would be foolish, friend.
So anyway, they're building this military complex in the middle of the South China Sea, and Trump answered his own question. I don't think so. He does not need Beijing's permission to speak to anyone. No more kowtowing in a Trump administration. So here we go. So that's not the end of the article. It goes on. It's a long article. So, and I'm not going to bore you with the entire thing, but it basically, why I got out of it is that Trump is setting the tone now that he's not going to just let all these other countries just roll over us anymore. I mean, that's good and it's bad. I mean, I don't want to see us in any wars, and being a little bit more tough on other countries, it might piss someone off a little bit. Who knows? But at the same time, at least he's living up to his promise that he's going to put the American workers first. I mean, we've outsourced most of our jobs to China under Nixon and Carter, and up into, I mean, even up into Reagan. I mean, it just continued. But Nixon opened it up, and that's where the second article by another brilliant man, Patrick J. Buchanan, is Trump calling out Xi Jinping. I think that's the premier of China. Like a bolt of lightning. What's that?
I believe it's Tai Ing-wen, but I'm
talking about mainland China.
Yeah. Okay, now I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Never mind.
That's okay. You know, it's getting late. But so Patrick J. Buchanan writes, like a bolt of lightning, that call of congratulations from Taiwan President Xi Ing-wen to President-elect Donald Trump illuminated the Asian landscape. We can see clearly now the profit and loss statement from more than 3 decades of accommodating and appeasing China, since Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger made their historic journey in 1972. So even Patrick Buchanan is seeing that Trump is standing up to China after 3 decades of us just allowing them to run roughshod over us. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, that Trump was so against. I read an article recently. It's now dead. It's not going anywhere.
It should have never gone anywhere to begin with.
Exactly.
It was a nightmare.
But Trump, just by him winning now, that's now dead. And now we see where if this is his direction diplomatically, that he's going to put this union first. I think it's a good thing. I'm cautiously optimistic, as others are saying. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch where Trump's going with this. I'm still waiting to see who his Secretary of State's going to be. Though I did see an article. Did you catch that? I saw it late in the day, and I didn't get a chance to print it out. There was I don't know if it was someone from Exxon, a former CEO from Exxon, or one of the corporations. I saw that he was going to offer him Secretary of State. So if that unconfirmed article that I don't have is true, it doesn't look like it's going to be Giuliani. I thought I saw the other day where Giuliani turned it down. He doesn't want it. And I think that would.
My understanding is Giuliani has removed himself from consideration for any cabinet position. I don't know if that was just for this Secretary of State or if that was for anything, but from what I gathered, he was basically saying he doesn't want a job in the White House, which I can't say is exactly a bad thing.
No, I don't know that I'd be too thrilled about having him in there either. But it sounds like that Trump is listening to some of the right people, because now what I heard that article that I haven't found any other articles about is true. That means he's shifting away from that consideration. If he was ever considering Mitt Romney, Mitt for brains, at least that might be out of the question. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I I think that Trump his instincts are correct. I think that what I'm seeing here, even the compost is saying this was a great move, that he was brilliant. And for the compost to be saying that was a brilliant move, there might be something here. And Patrick J. Buchanan is definitely a sharp guy. He knows what he's talking about. And I don't think, if you read the whole article that he wrote, it's kind of a mixed article. It's good and it's bad. But he's definitely, at the beginning here, he's definitely singing some praises of Trump. And I think it's a good thing. I think that we need to be have a leader that's going to put the union first and put the citizens of the states. Again, I didn't say the nation. I hate that word.
Stop using the N word.
He put the. I know. It's just I'm
going to have to mute
I
your
avoided.
mic.
I know. You're gonna have to. Yeah, just don't punch me tomorrow. So anyway, at least he's putting the citizens of the states first, and he might be keeping his promise. If we get the right Secretary of State, and he starts pushing our workers ahead of the rest of the world's workers, there might be some jobs come back. Again, we're going back to our first segment about all the regulation. There needs to be a lot of deregulation, and the taxes need to be cut. Well, we could argue taxes need to go away, but I at this point I would settle for cut.
We don't need no stinking taxes here.
Yeah, we don't. Well, we need to do a show on taxes. I mean, I could get on. I'll get on a rant. Forget the ramble. I'll get on a rant when we get on that one on property taxes. So we'll have to do that another day. But
I'll have to stock the pitchforks and torches.
But I can see if Donald Trump continues to put these people in that he's putting in, it looks like we have a guy that doesn't like the EPA that's going to be the head of the EPA. Maybe that he'll take care of some of the problems there, and hopefully get rid of a lot of people. Maybe he could pare it down and put it in perspective, and maybe even get to the point where it could go away. He put someone into education that is a charter school person. I heard all kinds of bad things about her until I started doing some research. A lot of people are really bad-mouthing her, but she's really into charter school. She's really anti-Common Core. So he's putting some good people in. So I got to just sit back. I'll be cautiously optimistic. I'm going to go watch him wait. I'm not going to sing his praises too much, but on this whole thing with China, it looks like his instincts are spot on. It looks like he's sending the right message. And now we'll just have to wait and see where this all goes. I mean, if you read down to this article, in 1954, Jimmy Carter, in 79, Jimmy Carter got us out of the Sino-American Mutual Defense Treaty. That was with Taiwan. That was in effect since 1954. So, I mean, this is going back to the 50s, getting us back to policies that were in effect in the 50s. So it's going in the right direction. It's heading backwards. So if we can just turn the clock back past 1913 and get rid of the Fed and all this other stuff, man, if we just keep going this way back machine and get way back, maybe we can get back to the Articles of Confederation, and maybe we can get things starting to work again.
Yeah, I used to say let's go back to pre-1861, but I kind of think that what we need to do is go all the way back to 1788. And I think we should start listening more to guys like Patrick Henry that had said this was a bad idea and he smelled a rat. And you know all the quotes as well as I do, but if we had listened to him, we probably wouldn't be quite in the same mess we're in at the moment.
Right. And that's why I said if we go in that Wayback Machine and we can get back to the Articles of Confederation, were they perfect? No. But they were better because, I mean, the general government, as it was called then, and it should be today, was weak. It didn't have a lot of power, and that was why they met and they had the Philadelphia Convention to amend the Articles of Confederation and give them a little bit more teeth because they needed a little bit of tweaking, and instead we got the Constitution, which is a disaster because look where we're at. And I mean, people worship the Constitution today, and it is so flawed. It is so vague that here we are today. The general welfare clause is the good and plenty cause. So anyway,
Now
I'm going to sit
here.
back and watch Donald Trump.
Now listen here,
What's that?
Bucko. You're not allowed to talk ill about the American civil religion now.
That's right.
We must all
That's
bow
right.
down to the Constitution because the Constitution will save us from everything. As I throw my notes all over the desk again.
USA, USA, USA.
Citizen, you will obey your federal overlords. I really need to get that sounder.
America, heck yeah.
I need one of those hotkey machines like Mr. Church has.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
one
anyway,
of these years I can afford it.
Just to wrap up this whole China thing, because it wasn't a big subject, but it really struck me when the Washington Compost is saying that Donald Trump was brilliant. I mean, I had a look. I mean, it just it blew me away that a liberal newspaper was singing his praises, and then I had to go and I found more on it with Patrick Buchanan. We'll just have to sit back and watch. I mean, we might be in for a really strange ride in the next 4 years. I have no idea where this is all going, and that's the thing about Trump. That's what Trump brings to all this. He's completely unpredictable. I have no idea what he's going to do.
Well, I'll tell you this much: it can't get any freaking worse than what it was under Obama. At least
no,
not,
but
not at the moment.
I know. So we'll see. I'm kind of excited to see. I mean, again, I'm not jumping on the Trump train. Don't get all upset. But I am kind of excited to see where this is going because the question marks are huge. I mean, huge. So that's all I had on China. But so I'll sit back and watch. And now tomorrow I'm going to get to see you. I mean, in person, face to face.
You might go running, screaming the other direction.
Well, it might be. You might have the same response with me. We're going to meet down in Harrisburg tomorrow.
I don't wear white because people would confuse me with a polar bear.
Okay.
That's a joke.
We'll see. You can wear white tomorrow, and I'll see if you look like a polar bear.
Well, if I wear the white hood, though, I won't make it to Harrisburg.
No, you won't.
I'll get shot on my way into the show.
That's true. So don't wear white tomorrow. So anyone that's listening, again, it's the podcast part. It's going to be too late. You're not going to catch it. But we're going to be in Harrisburg tomorrow. So if anyone's on the line now listening, we're going to be in Harrisburg at the Farm Show Complex. There's the gun and knife show there. It's kind of a prepping show, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's more where grown men go to buy toys for Christmas.
Yes, it is. And they have all kinds of prepper stuff. They have MREs. They have you name it. It's just it's just like I'm a kid in a candy shop there. I see all this stuff I want, and I don't have the money to buy it. So,
well, that makes two of us.
Yeah. So we're gonna be there. Anyway, we're meeting there at 9 a.m. So if there's anyone listening live tonight, you're certainly welcome to join us tomorrow. And afterward, we're gonna go to lunch at the Appalachian Brewing Company. Again, I don't drink. but they make their own beers there. They have good food. I enjoy the food there, and it's not Olive Garden, so I'm not one of the Olive Guardians. So,
Well, sometimes
and we're not going to Regal Cinemas. That's for a friend of ours that's listening or was listening. I got a message from him, so I know he was listening, and he knows who he is.
well next time we'll have to maybe try my wife's favorite restaurant. That way, I'm sure she'll tag along. She loves the Texas Roadhouse over in Camp Hill, so
Okay.
we'll do Appalachian
Well,
this time, and then we'll figure it out. But we will not eat at Olive Garden. I can't afford Olive Garden, and if I'm going to pay that much, it's going to be daggone steak, brother. I should live in Texas.
Okay. So, America, that's for you. Thank you. Hey, Daniel, I'll see you in the morning, and thank you for a good show. This one was a lot more fun. It was definitely more relaxed. The first one, our pilot one, yeah, it worked, but this one was definitely better. It flowed better, and the breaks were kind of good. It gave me a chance to get up and get some water and stuff, and it gave us a chance to play some of those old commercials for the people. And so next week, maybe we'll do something on those taxes while you're talking about. I'll take a look at that, and I'll start sending you some articles, and we'll start preparing for next week.
All right, you got my name and number, and this has been the Renegade Ramblers, our December 10th, 2016 edition. And like you heard in the program, if you're in the Harrisburg area, you wish to drop by the Gun and Knife Show at the Farm Show Complex. It is free parking. I think it costs $10 to get in. If you can't afford the $10, I'm pretty sure we can meet you for lunch. But anyway, we will see you next week. It'll probably be either Saturday or Sunday show. I have not decided because I don't know what my schedule is going to be on Sundays. So until next week, we'll see you then.